Hey, it's Sean here with the Emma and Sean Outdoors YouTube channel. Today we're going to be restoring this Kent hewing hatchet. And a hewing hatchet is a type of hatchet that's used for flattening the sides of logs. You can see on one side, it's basically flat. On the other side, it has this slope. So this side is used for flattening a log. And I just happen to think that these are really cool. I really like the symmetrical look on these because I feel like it kind of gives some kind of battle axe feel. It almost feels like some type of weapon. So the goal is to restore this, and we're gonna make a new handle, and we're gonna get this thing looking really good. Well, that's not good, dropping it on the ground. But now I think I'm gonna drill this out. That should be pretty easy to get out of there. There we go. Got it out. I'm not sure if these bumps were intentional or if this was a cast hatchet head and maybe that was some spillover. I think this was forged, but not sure. Well, I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to do with this, so I think we're going to get it polished up. There's a lot of deep gouges though in it. I don't know what somebody was doing with it. They were like hitting nails on the side of it or something, or if that's from knots in the wood. But we're going to try to smooth that out as much as we can in a reasonable amount of time and then get this thing really polished. Whoa, I just saw something smoking and I just found out that the sawdust has like piled up down here and it's smoking and smoldering. Definitely need to clean that out. Well, sanding that took about an hour, and between the belt sander and the orbital sander, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it in terms of removing any of the dings and stuff. There's a few black dots here and a little bit of black on the edges, but at this point I think I'm ready to move on to higher grits and try to get a polish on it. I have a bunch of different grits of sandpaper, and right now I've used 40 grit and 120 grit, and then I've gone back to 40 grit. And so now I need to move up to 120 grit. Each level grit of sandpaper is not really to do any shaping or to wear it down anymore, but it's to get out the scratches that were left by the previous level of grit. So the 240 grit will take out the scratches from the 120, and then I'll use probably a 600 grit, and that'll take out the scratches from the 240. Well, I'm about an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45 minutes into polishing this axe head, and it looks really good, but one of the big parts of doing one of these restorations is really deciding how far you're going to go. I've seen people who have restored these axe heads to a state that you wouldn't know the difference between new and restored. But you also have to decide what you're going to use it for. If it's for display, then maybe you want to polish it a bit more. For me, I like to use it, and I know it'll get dinged up as I'm using it. So this is about as far as I want to sand it. Now I am going to put a polish on it next because I like the mirror finish, but because I haven't done the most thorough job with the sanding, some of the scratches will still show through. I'm going to be using this green steel and stainless steel polishing compound. You can get it in a set with a bunch of other compounds for about $20 on Amazon. It's pretty cheap and it works really well with a Dremel tool. Well, that is looking really nice. I'm going to rinse that off in some water and see how she looks. Well, I think this has turned out really great so far. It's really shiny, and although you can see some of the scratches, I think it looks awesome, and I cannot wait to put a handle on this. So that's going to be the next step in the process. Also, I went through a significant amount of sandpaper to polish that head. I think all this is bad sandpaper. It's been used up. All of this. That's probably 20 pieces of sandpaper just to do that head. So I was trying to figure out what wood would be best for the handle, and I found this awesome piece of hickory, and I think it'll make a great handle. The two types of wood that you want to use for a handle are either ash or hickory. You can use other hardwoods, but those are the main two woods that a lot of people use. I've already drawn a template in pencil of kind of what I want to cut out. Well, having never worked with hickory before, I'm really surprised at how dense this wood is. It's really hard to work by hand, and I was even having some trouble with the jigsaw. So I put a different blade on. This is a more rough cut blade, and I'm hoping that'll get me through this handle. Well, I've cut these notches here, and I'm chiseling out this top piece of wood to get just to the handle. It's very difficult though because this wood's very dense. And on top of that, I've just smacked my thumb and cut myself slightly. I guess that's what I get for working at midnight.
Weeks later.
Well guys, it's been a few weeks and now I have some time and I'm back at it. Well, I've marked some of this out with Sharpie so I can get a good angle for how the axe head is gonna meet the wood. Well, I finally sanded this down almost enough to get the axe head on, but I need to do a little bit more sanding. I think I probably made this too thin, so we'll see if I can get the wedge in there and get the axe head mounted. If not, I'm gonna have to remake an entire handle. So this is a lesson learned. This needs to be thicker. I've almost cut the side off of this. This is the wedge that I made that I'm gonna use. I found out that it's a lot easier to chop this off the block of wood by using a chisel than by trying to saw it. So if you ever do this, use a chisel, not a saw. We're gonna put a little bit of wood glue on there. Well, it's mounted on there. I cracked both the wedge and the axe handle while putting it in. I don't think I'm gonna test my luck anymore. I'm gonna cut this off and we'll go from there. So it's on there pretty securely. Well, we are almost done with this project. We have the axe head mounted onto the handle and it's looking really good. I think the last step is going to be wiping this whole thing down with boiled linseed oil. So it turns out that I don't have any linseed oil, but I do have Danish oil, and it works very similarly to boiled linseed oil. Well, we've coated the axe with oil, and I think I'm gonna let it dry and I'll check back tomorrow. Well guys, it is another day and I am back and I wanted to show you the finished product of the Hatchet restoration. I am really pleased with how this Hatchet turned out. The handle here turned out just how I wanted it to, and the Hatchet head is really shiny. I've also seen a lot of people sharpen these Hatchets on a sharpening stone, and I have a sharpening stone. I actually have a set, but I decided to just use sandpaper and a belt sander. I feel like it does just as good of a job, just about, and I'm able to still get the Hatchet really sharp. Take a look at this. This is also a really easy project that you could try at home. You can find axe heads like this on eBay or at yard sales, and they're fairly inexpensive. And the wood to do this is, pretty easy to find at any lumber company. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more projects like this, make sure to check out our gear and projects playlist. We have a handful of other videos, tutorials showing you how to put things together and build things at home. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.